also looked at the review of existing climate-related policies, and we heard a lot from voices in the different sectors when it comes to carbon. We had a really great opening ceremony with high-level sector actors, and today we'll be looking at the actual policy. We have a presentation on the draft carbon development policy. We have group discussions where we will bring recommendations. Remember yesterday we reminded all of you to please read the policy if you haven't done so already. Have some bilaterals, have some little group discussions for today. So after the group discussions, we will get back in plenary to discuss and integrate the different perspectives. So at this point, we want to have a recap of all of the activities we did yesterday so that we can align our objectives for this dialogue. Today is the last day of the dialogue, and we note that some people might be leaving today, so we want to be really fast to make sure that we leave Gompa with really concrete policy that we can take to Monrovia. So at this point, I will call Mr. Calvin Colley from the NCCSC to give us a recap of yesterday's activities and present the performance objectives for day 2. So Colley, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. So I know the memories are still fresh. We have breakfast. So my role is just to see if we can reflect on what we went through yesterday. So yesterday, like the moderator mentioned, we had basically 2 sets of activities. One was the opening formalities, and then the second segment took us into technical sessions with panel discussions. So beginning with the opening session, we were opportune to hear from most of our senior policy makers, the legislature, civil society, the religious community as well. These were some of the key points coming out of the sessions. We gathered from the opening session that there was a strong appreciation for this dialogue. It's been seen as a novelty in the space of climate change discourse. We also got some experiences in terms of interventions that institutions have been making with respect to integrating climate change in some of the activities. We got some insights into lessons from existing legislation like the Land Rights Act. Harmonization of policy came up strong in the statement, and also emphasis placed on Liberian ownership and leadership. So that, those were the key points captured from the opening session. We move into the technical session, beginning with the first panel that looked at carbon in the global economy. And what came up strong from the session was dealing with issues around misinformation with respect to carbon, also looking at carbon trade and the sale of carbon, looking at issues around basically conservation value as opposed to carbon itself, but we're looking at mainly the conservation value. There was also emphasis on the pathways for the different markets with respect to carbon. Key questions that were answered or that were proposed during the session that needed some clarity was the issue of how can we have assets, and still remain poor. We needed to ponder upon that. Forest investment within the context of sustainable management, and also the call for strong laws to protect the environment, especially mangroves, for example. The second technical session on the Liberian existing climate-related laws. We had some time to look at dichotomy between, for example, energy versus services. We looked at the integration of resource, the emphasis on integrated resource planning, for example, land use, energy, agriculture. We also look at social economic growth, matching that against the rise in GHG emission. So social economic growth has implication on GHG emission. We also got an understanding around the AAID, that is Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development, and the aspiration towards low carbon development. We had an understanding around intersectoral collaboration, the importance of that. For example, FDA, EPA, mines, energy, finance, and also we look at the importance of cost-benefit analysis around protected areas. So if we have to do protected areas, we need to understand clearly cost-benefit analysis. The last session was on the good practices. We had examples from a few countries, but what came out clear was trying to look at the conflict in mandates and roles, fragmentation of efforts, also the need to have a comprehensive and blended policy, and also the importance of the messaging. How do we communicate all of this? There are a few takeaways from yesterday. One, institutional clarity is essential. Capacity building and support is required. Legislation must be transformational and implementable. Also, policy coherence across sector institutions is very important. And last but not the least, Liberian ownership must be central toward climate action. It's very important. Today, we want to look at how we can deepen the discussion and get contribution around actionable insights into the policy. We'll also be looking at proposing mechanisms that align with carbon in terms of value and also sectoral priorities with respect to the targets, the goals that we've set as a country, and also look at synergies across sector, institutions, and stakeholder groups. So that's what we have to the best of my recollection. So thank you so much.
Mr. Colley, for giving us a recap of yesterday's activities. Is there anything we left out from our discussion yesterday that you'd like to make an input on? If not, we go into the business of the day. Sorry? The pre-capture noted the mineral survey. Okay. So we are about to go into the business of the day. We have 3 critical issues, as we discussed or mentioned yesterday, which has to do with noted. So please capture the submission of the community's 10 point to the NCC-SC. Thank you so much, DMD-CCC. So we have 3 critical issues at hand from the carbon development policy. And the issues have to do with the institutional arrangements, the ownership of carbon, and the benefit sharing mechanism. So this is the dialogue. At this point, we will have a presentation on those three critical issues to be done. That presentation will be done by a team of three, headed by the coordinator of the National Climate Change Steering Committee Secretariat, Mr. Zé Elijah Wapo. So please listen keenly to this presentation, because right after we do a breakout group discussion to make sure you integrate all of your key points and recommendations, and after we get back in plenary to discuss and integrate those recommendations. Mr. Wapo, it's over.
I'm sorry, I'm a little shy when you invited speakers. Good morning, everyone. In addition to the clear outline you just presented about the topics of the day, on reflection last night, I did just want to raise a little bit of a caution and a curiosity today during your discussions, is that many of the targets that I heard discussed yesterday have never happened anywhere. And some of the numbers that were mentioned, people were discussing hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know where those estimates are coming from, but I've never heard numbers like that. So, you know, there's a lot of research online. There's a lot of information available. There's a lot of scientists in the room that have worked on these projects internationally. So when you are coming up with your creative ideas and your inputs, it's important to have the expectations be tenable. That's my only observation. Yeah.
Awesome, noted. So, please put the lights off on the back.
Thank you. Oh, it also now. All right. Thank you, Scott. Remember that you have fewer technicians in the room, and you have local authorities. You got people who are hearing carbon issue for the first time.